I've been on the internet long enough to know sometimes I need to put a disclaimer on the front of my video reviews, and this is going to be one of them. In Goodbye Volcano High, I'm going to be talking about what makes a good story work, which Goodbye Volcano High totally has for me. I'm invested in its characters, its story arc, everything that's going on in this game is superb, and I hugely recommend it. But in doing so, I'm going to need to talk about some sensitive topics and issues that some people might not necessarily agree with and feel like they have an underlying entitlement to be able to declare that their experience is the definitive one versus mine. Everyone's experiences are different, but it's the internet. No one has any grey here. It's black and white, and that's always how people want to stand off because we've gone downhill as a society. With that out of the way, let me get onto this review and get off my horse. Goodbye Volcano High is a game that I was super looking forward to because it's a group of diverse characters, beautifully animated, telling an emotional story and tale, with a rhythm action game involved because they're all in a band. At the end of the world, having an end of world disaster? Sign me up. This is everything I love. And so super looking forward to it. But I was going in with trepidation. That's because last year a game called We Are OFK released, which I was equally looking forward to, and it offered the very same experience as what this game offered, minus the end of the world bit. But I found that game to be really insufferable by the end because the characters were all hugely unlikable. They were catty, bitchy, negative, they swiped at each other, no one had any dignity or respect for each other despite proclaiming that they were diverse and demanded attention and almost had like this underlying snarky entitlement to every decision going their way and not wanting to put in some hard graft in life. And I found them to be really repulsive. And I was worried that Goodbye Volcano High might struggle with the same kind of thing because again, it's, hey, we're a group of teens, diverse group of characters, we all love boba tea. And I was like, oh no, we're going to have a deja vu here. But it doesn't happen. And the reason why it doesn't happen is because Goodbye Volcano High invests so much of its time in making all of the first, the main 8 characters really fully three-dimensional and fleshed out. So it's not, I'm diverse, love me. It's, I'm going through all of these emotions. I want my friends around me to help me because I'm diverse and I need their support, and we'll get through this together through thick or thin. And yeah, we might have an argument and tell each other to F off and stomp off, but we'll ultimately come back together and we'll be graceful and apologise and work on it. And having that fully three-dimensional, fleshed out story and narrative arc for these 8 characters really sells the emotional journey that everyone goes on throughout this story. Now, you play as Fang, who is not conforming to any of the boxes that society wants to put them into. Now, Fang has trust issues because they are an outsider and they've been treated like an outsider by their parents and the world around them. So you start off with your best friends Trish and Reed forming a little band, but you've also got Sage and Stella, who are like your gay besties, who come along, read tarot and be a little bit sassy. But then you've got your brother Nazza, who is the good one in the family, but then with that carries lots of weight and responsibility. In the same way that Sage and Stella are often the comic relief, they actually have some quite tragic and dark backstories themselves, and you can invest time in that, and so even the comic relief becomes three-dimensional. Rosa is dealing with not having the same background as everyone else, and so you've got that kind of ethnic diversity playing in there too. But again, that doesn't make it Rosa's only personality and character trait. She's got loads of other things going on as well, so it's just part of the makeup that makes Rosa Rosa. In the same way that Fang, feeling like they don't belong in any box for anything and don't conform to society's rules, doesn't truly define everything that Fang is. Fang can still be funny, crack a joke, be witty with humour. You can change up some of the lyrics for some of their songs for when Fang sings, and you can reflect Fang's personality in that depending on how you want to play it. Trish is also having an interesting time because she's growing out of being the band, and while she still wants to be Fang's best friend, she's exploring being best friends with Rosa because they're sharing their kind of implied romance potentially going on there. So what happens when best friends grow up and you're moving to the next chapter of your life? How does that all work? Nazar, your brother, is chums with Naomi, who is the school boffin. But Naomi's been busy planning her life ahead of her. And now there's a meteor that's going to hit and cause the end of the world. And now all of a sudden she's in panic mode thinking, well, I've just spent all of my life preparing for what's to come and now it's not come. What have I done with my life? So let's be bold and make some decisions. So that's interesting. Reed is the off-the-cuff, the couth kind of whatever guy. But actually that's a deep down protection mechanism because he does care about an awful lot that's going on. And you get to explore that. And this is really where Goodbye Volcano High absolutely shines as a story, because each of these 8 characters has meat on the bones. And you get to explore it. You get to choose who you talk to sometimes. So you might invest more in one playthrough for a couple of characters than the other. And you'll start to kind of see it's got in the menu this kind of like solar system of who revolves around Fang most and who becomes into like the inner circle, which I thought was quite cool. You get to see memories of the past pulled up as like little cartoon strips, which was fun as well. And you get to unlock photos depending on your different choices, which requires multiple playthroughs to see. All of this is fantastic. And it shows why, to me, now if I put them side by side, why We Are OFK really failed for me, because everyone was so one note. It was, I love you, I hate you, I need boba tea, I hate my job, moan. Very little in the peel back the layers and understand why and get to know the character. And that's why Goodbye Volcano High invests time in its like 10-hour campaign of you just exploring what makes all of these people tick. And it feels so much more natural and less forced, chic, hippie like quirkiness. These are just people living out their day-to-day lives that have now been interrupted by the fact that the world's coming to end, and it's bringing all of their good and bad traits to the surface quickly all at once as flashpoints. So, I absolutely adore the story. It's what makes this game. The rhythm action elements of this game are interesting, and I would say potentially the weaker point of this game. And that's because you've got multiple different things going on at once. And so at the bottom of the screen, you've got this kind of thing where bubbles fly in and you've got to move the analog stick to hit at the right time and hold it in either the up, left or right position. But it doesn't feel precise and it feels slightly off. And so I was getting a bit like, have I hit things? And sometimes I thought I had when I hadn't, and sometimes I hadn't when I had. And I found that a bit annoying. The actual button presses of what's going on the screen, I don't feel absolutely perfectly in time with the music. So sometimes I felt like I'd got a perfect and it didn't give me that. But I didn't fail anything. It just didn't feel like I was getting the score that I thought I was deserving of getting, which I appreciate probably sounds like a really weird thing to say, but I feel like it was something that could have been potentially corrected with an audio visual sync bar, but that doesn't exist in this game, so you just have to kind of go with it. The third part of the rhythm action element is pressing down or certain buttons on the analog sticks to do like big power chords, and they're quite satisfying, although they don't pop up too often. I like the fact that you can write some of the lyrics for some of the songs and then you actually hear it being sung. I think it makes the game infinitely more personable, and I've never seen that before or heard that before in a rhythm action game, so great to hear and see. And yeah, overall a really fantastic experience. I would be remiss of me to say though that I did encounter a couple of bugs. The first bug on the PS5 version is that the trophies are balked and they've been patched but still not fully repaired, and they aren't retrospective, so if you've played it on PS5 and didn't get any of the trophies unlocked like I did, you'd need to replay it through again. The other thing that I did find though was that sometimes some of the voice acting was cut short by the animations, like it was jumping on before a sentence was finished. And this happened often enough for me to kind of go, oh, this is a reoccurring thing. And so it just needs a couple of tweaks here and there. I'd say it happens about once every 20 25 minutes where a sentence just gets cut off midway and then you move on. You're like, oh, have I missed something? Have I pressed a button? No, it just was cutting off too soon. So minor tweaks that need sorting out. But overall, an absolutely glorious experience. I had great fun playing, and I hope people aren't getting too precious over what I was trying to say about what made the characters in this story work versus We Are OFK, because I think it's true. You need to write three-dimensional characters no matter what you're representing, and you can't just be representing something and expect that to carry you all the way through a 12-hour adventure. It'd be like me just going, I'm blonde, I'm having fun, love me, for 12 hours. No. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope that makes sense. Leave any comments or questions down below and I'll get back to you. Cheers. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.